For some reason, my sister has plenty of stalkers, most just students from her school. So I was surprised when this guy was exposed. So I was walking my little sister to school and we were just talking. I had already graduated and was moving soon, so we were catching up. We enter an office in my sister's school where you have to write your name or get a visitor's badge. I don't know if any other school does this. I walk in and I see this 30-year-old man stare at us the entire time we were there. I thought it was creepy but didn't care, so I ignored him. My sister went to class and I was walking out the office and the guy taps my shoulder. He asks who I am and who I am to the girl. It's my sister. I tell him, and he lets me walk out. But the whole time I'm going to the car, I'm getting this feeling like someone's watching me. So when my sister gets home from school, I ask her. And she shrugs and says, quote, "Yeah, I noticed him for the past few weeks," unquote. I ask how many, and she replied with, "Maybe 2 months." Now I'm worried and start asking her if anything was off lately or something because she had been cyber-stalked twice before and I am an overprotective brother. She tells me not to worry and we both shrug it off and she asked if we could play Minecraft. I said yes and we were off. We built her a nice house and then we went mining. That was when I got that weird feeling again, like eyes were on me. I ignored it and thought it was just being in a cave in the Minecraft game. But when we left, with 24 diamonds, so a good mine, I still got that feeling. My mom and dad were in bed and I didn't want to wake them, so I got up and told my sister to continue playing. I peeked out of the windows and saw nothing, but when I turned around to go back to playing, I saw a shadow in the window with a camera. I walked back and sent her a text that said, "Don't react. You're being stalked." And said loudly, "I'm going to go get some snacks." So I walked into the kitchen and called the police. I was freaking out. I told them everything. And soon, the guy was caught. Guess who it was? Mr. Creepy School Guy. My sister was horrified, but I told her not to worry. This probably won't happen often. What we eventually found out was that this guy had pictures of my sister everywhere. In parks, in school, in her bedroom. This guy was crazy. It all started when I moved into our new house and started up a gym membership. I'm 5'3", so I look pretty young for my age. Someone the other day knocked and asked if my mother was home, so I'm told I look like a little girl. So one night at the gym, I see this weird guy staring at me and sort of following me around. He looked crazy, like a shell-shocked soldier. He was very socially awkward, quiet, smart kind of looking guy, probably INTJ. He had a huge build too, like 6'4" and bodybuilder type. So then he eventually passed me by the machine I was on and looked directly at me. Almost like he was reading me. It was like a deer in the headlights. My gut told me I was in trouble. So I get up and head for the lockers and, no surprise, he headed for the men's. I made myself literally sit in that locker room for 20 minutes to make sure that he would not leave at the same time. I peer out of the locker room, don't see him, so start heading for the exit. This guy literally pops up out of nowhere and heads out behind me. At this point, I am now accepting the challenge. Stupid, I know. I slow down and I stare at him with the most serious deadlock stare I can muster up. He walks to his car and I walk to mine, staring at each other the entire time. I stand there in front of my car and stare as he slides into his. He then lowers his head and gives me the most bone-chilling, evil-eyed stare anyone had ever given me. It kind of made me chuckle a little. I waited for him to drive off. So then I figured I'd lost him and started driving home. I live in a very small town with neighborhoods that dead end and cul-de-sacs. So right before I turn into my neighborhood, this SUV drives up behind me on my tail, all aggressive. I know he followed me home after that, but I have no idea how he was so stealthy. I'm pretty sure this guy is ex-military. Just by his demeanor, age 36 or so, his SUV, just everything screamed ex-military. So anyways, 3 days go by and my husband leaves for work. I'm upstairs in bed and I hear my front door open. Someone just walked into my house. My heart stopped. I had no idea what was going on. I creep out of my room and see all 3 of my kids are fast asleep. I walk over to one of their rooms and look out the window to the street. My heart does that dropping thing again. A car was parked directly in front of my house that I don't recognize. It was an old, unmarked car that was parked at a very unusual diagonal angle, and it was running. I start stomping on my ceiling and I start waving my hands at the car to threaten it. Well, it races off and leaves whoever is in my house. Then all of a sudden, I see this man emerge from under the window with his face completely covered. He was walking away with a quickness, but get this. He had the same build as the guy from the gym. It is just unmistakable. He's huge, and I don't ever see dudes this big. At first, I thought it was an unrelated robbery, but statistically, they don't come back to the scene if caught, and he didn't take anything downstairs. My laptop was right downstairs. My husband has seen that car apparently once after that, 3 weeks later, and it sped off when he walked outside. My brother-in-law came to visit a few weeks ago and he had to park around that corner. He told me he saw a guy walking by the house looking very suspicious. When I asked his description, he said some guy with a big build. I am creeped out. I don't know what's going to happen. I used to order a lot of pizza. I love pizza. Well, my local pizza place got a new driver who way overstepped the boundaries of what is acceptable. He tried to force his way into my home to, quote, share dinner with me, unquote, and just general creepy behavior. So I stopped ordering pizza. Well, after that, I never noticed anything. I have a security system, so I figured all is well, and I never really check it. Well, about 2 months after the pizza incident, I hear scratching at the side of my home. I live outside the city, so there are animals usually looking for a place to nest. There was a big, nice, fresh coating of snow, so that made sense. So I do what I normally do. I let the dog out. He's a huge 120-pound King Shepherd, and he just bolts out the door. Again, not unlike him when there's an animal outside. But about 15 to 20 seconds later, I hear screaming and swearing, then screaming in pain and terror. I scream for my dog to come back, and he does. He's a good boy. And then I call the police. Well, they do a search of the outside of the house. What they find is blood. Lots of blood. And pry marks at the side of my house. Well, at the front of my property, at the entrance to my drive, I have a camera. It's very well hidden. I get the guy going to his car, and I get his plate. The cops take it and go to the hospital. There was a lot of blood, so the guy would have needed medical attention. Well, the guy said, quote, "Oh, well, I was trying to surprise my girlfriend, and I fell," unquote. But they come back to my house, tell me this, and they show me his picture. Sure enough, it was the pizza guy. And in his car, they found rope, duct tape, a camera, and a knife. So, stalkers, take that shit seriously. Stay safe out there, y'all.